social emotional learning can impact their immediate and their long-term outcomes. Yes, we want academic success, and yes, we want employability, and we want them to have the skills they need to maintain that employment. Self-esteem is very important as they move through life, through school, having the confidence that they need to do what's put before them, relationships, and civic and community engagement. So SEL plays into our students being able to do all of these things well. So the mission of the OSIS SEL team is to provide consistent, collaborative, proactive direction and support focused in the areas of social and emotional learning. And we want to do this through data-based decision making, quality instruction, family and community engagement, and fidelity of implementation. So our main goal here as a team is to support you. We want to support our districts. We want to support our state operated programs. We want to support you in building capacity and infrastructure to reduce the use of suspensions and expulsions for a means of changing behavior as measured by indicators 4A and 4B. And we want to support you in building capacity and infrastructure by increasing the use of high leverage and social emotional learning practices. Sorry, let me go back one here. So I talked about database gathering. We want to gather some data from you. And in just a few minutes, we're going to ask you, what does SEL mean to you? And we're going to ask you what causes you concern when you're thinking about SEL and implementing it a little bit more strategically within the schools. What I wanted to show you is a brief clip of what is happening in the Atlanta Public Schools as they have implemented SEL across the district. So you will hear from students, staff, about how this has impacted them and the positive things that have come from it. So I'm going to go here. You know what, let me,
If you are in an environment and a
can
culture
you hear
that
that?
supports you as a student, you're far more
Yeah, we're
likely
good.
to not only come to
Okay.
school but be more engaged and take more responsibility for your learning. And as a result, you're simply going to do better.
I'm fine. I'm fine. And I hope that you are too.
The children are raised in the village. And that's where it starts from. That's our foundation, the children. The children are going to make the difference. The children are going to transform the neighborhoods. The children are going to transform the school.
Where there's high poverty and high need and violence and in some cases just desperate situations, that if it weren't for the child and the hope that they're bringing to that family and the potential future, that you would see yet another cycle of intergenerational poverty.
You'll probably come to school sad or mad. But then when you start doing SEL, you start smiling and just have a change of heart.
I've watched students express empathy in a number of ways, whereas they were very reactionary, now they're very responsive.
And we begin to reenact how we would feel, how we would respond if someone said something that would put us down.
You can turn that feeling to a positive self-talk, and you can say, like, I can do this. I'm confident in myself. I can be a great person.
I've witnessed the exponential growth of students who are now, they've not only become better communicators, they can write better because they're better now able to name and express and to get it out.
When you talk about a plant, right, you need the sun, you need the water, you need soil. So when you have too much water, certain things happen. When you have too much sun, certain things happen. So we have a plant that's growing, and there are places where it's the perfect combination of all three things.
Well, SEL is a life skill, and that's what I tell my students. It's not just something just that we just incorporate in the classroom. I tell them it's something you can use in the real world. You can be a mathematician, a scientist, but you still have to be able to build relationships with people and be able to interact to be successful.
When we have that designated social and emotional learning time, this work is a journey that you carry throughout your day, and it continues to carry throughout your life.
Once you get into those lessons and you see exactly what SEL is, you see the impact that it has on the children, it makes you dig for more. My kids love it.
I used to get suspended a lot. I used to hang around a whole crowd of bad people on a wrong path, either kill or in jail.
Because with not only Nick, but other students, they are taking what they're learning home. A lot of times we want them to take math home. We want them to take them science, social studies, language arts. But to hear them say, I'm taking something that is the shortest part of my day and I'm implementing that at home, that says a lot, that speaks volumes.
So that was a clip. I didn't want to show the whole thing because of time. What are your first thoughts when you see this? What are your first thoughts? You can put in the chat what you're thinking. There are two district superintendents who actually explained why and how they prioritize social emotional learning in their school systems. And there's an article that you can find on ASCD that kind of outlines what they did and how they did it. There's a link here on my slide that you have access to later that you can go into and just take a look at and give us some thoughts. So relationships, yes, relationships is definitely something that comes to mind when you're thinking about SEL and forming those positive relationships. So right now, I'd like to get your thoughts. We talked about data gathering. As we support you, we want to know your thoughts and what you're thinking. So if you would go to that Jamboard link that Shannon put in the chat earlier. We're asking two questions, and we'd like for you to answer those. First of all, I have a question. Can you still see my screen? Can you see where I am right now?
We still see the PowerPoint.
Still see the PowerPoint, okay. Okay, I'm going to come out and share again. Share the Jamboard.
Yep, we can see it now.
Okay, great, thank you. So this is session 3. So for those of you who have not used the Jamboard before, there are some icons on the left-hand side here. It's the fourth one down, looks like a little piece of paper. It's actually a sticky note. You can select that and add your comment and then save it. Of course, you can change color and then save it and it will post to the board. And you have opportunity to move it around. So you could place it here under what does SEL mean to you, or place it here under what causes you concern. So I just want to take a couple of minutes and hear from you. When you think about SEL, what does that mean? And when you think about implementing SEL in the schools, in your classroom, what causes you concern?
You can click, if you look at the top of the screen, it in the middle, it has a 1 of 4. You click the arrow to the right, 2 of 4, and then 3 of 4 should put you on session 3.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
There's also a lot of people on, I know it's telling me that a lot of people are using it, so you just have to keep trying again.
Oh, so it's popular today.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
But once they put their comment, it should open up for a few others.
Okay, there are a few comments here. One says supporting the whole child. That's what SEL means. And then there's another, providing students what they need so they are ready to learn. That's a good thought. It means that students will receive emotional support. So SEL means supporting all needs. And then we have Maslow before Bloom, taking care of the foundation. So what are your concerns? Teacher buy-in. Yes, it is important that teachers understand the importance of SEL, that schools still see SEL weaknesses as discipline issues. Exactly, exactly. And I think more knowledge on SEL will benefit everyone. Purchasing SEL curriculum without training or plan. Okay. We don't think we need to teach SEL skills in the same way we teach academic skills. Teaching SEL through explicit instruction is important. Yes, yes, indeed. Leadership buy-in is a concern. Taking time to implement SEL correctly is a concern. Admin buy-in. Concerns and mind shifts that need to occur and the time. Okay. Well, these are all good points. Please continue to add your comments. We're going to keep this as part of our data so that we know how we can support you. All right, I am going to go back into Teams. Okay, does everyone see my PowerPoint?
Yep, we're with you.
Okay, great. And thank you so much for participating in that. You know, it's very, very helpful for us to get your input and your feedback. It helps us know which direction to go. So where do you fit in? I think you've already kind of answered that question. We need buy-in from administrators. We need buy-in from teachers. This is a general and a special education concern. And so the staff is very important when it comes to SEL. It provides opportunity, and providing opportunity for adults to cultivate their own social, emotional, and cultural competence will in turn help students as the adults are modeling SEL. It becomes more natural even when you're working with students. And part of SEL is becoming self-aware and being able to manage your own stressors. And research has shown that teachers who are able to do this, they're able to implement those SEL strategies, have better classroom management, that they handle stress in a way that's beneficial for them, and they're less likely to burn out. And the teacher well-being in turn means a reduction in teacher shortage. So not only is it helping the students, you know, we're helping our teachers by involving everyone in SEL. And so now we want to talk about what's been happening at OSIS and our outcome focus. And Shannon is going to share with us this part of the presentation. Shannon?
Thank you, Cheryl. Good afternoon. And the second part of this presentation just kind of focuses on some of the resources and supports that we have been developing in the background for you. And just to kind of show you what the root cause analysis looks like and to go through some of our resources to show what we've been developing so that we can better support you at your districts. We would just like just a quick disclaimer. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Just a quick disclaimer, and you don't have to go back. But we just want you to know that we're very dedicated to providing high quality resources and services to support you in your support of those positive outcomes for students and their social emotional learning. And all of the social emotional learning supports that we've developed, not really developed, but we kind of gathered, we wanted to get all of these things in one place so that you would kind of have those universal supports. And we just wanted to kind of have just a one-stop shop, and you'll see when Cheryl goes into that later and just show you some of the new hot out the press and the developments we have. We just wanted some universal supports that are going to just provide that consistent message across the board in terms of best practices, in terms of appropriate vocabulary, in terms of things we should be doing across the district. Two things that we really kind of use and depend on in terms of creating these supports and gathering these resources. We really leaned on those high leverage practices, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with the high leverage practices in special education, but we really poured from those to make sure that the supports that we provide to you all are aligned to those high leverage practices. Another thing that we really looked at and we really poured from were those core competencies as provided by CASEL. We understand and we all know that in order to provide students to develop the knowledge, attitudes, and skills described in SEL, students need to be competent or have abilities in 5 specific areas. Those areas are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. So we make sure that all of the supports we have are aligned to those 5 competencies. Another thing that we're developing kind of in the background are those specific supports as we move into that tier 2 and tier 3 help that we're going to be providing you all in the future. Those interventions and those supports that we will be providing will be very targeted to the district needs. And we'll get that information, it'll be data driven, and we'll get that information from your root cause analysis, which we'll take a look at. So we have developed a root cause analysis that's really going to help us take a deeper dive into some of those underlying issues and challenges that kind of contribute to the academic as well as the social emotional learning gaps within our students. And we have, again, aligned these to the social emotional competencies by CASEL as well as those high leverage practices. And these are kind of the overarching themes that we've come up with. And within these overarching themes are several different questions that just kind of help you all take a deeper dive into those issues. Our major, our plan for the root cause analysis is that you will take it as a group. We don't want one person just kind of going through saying, yeah, we're doing this, dishes are doing this. We really want you to look at these root cause analysis with your leadership team so that you're making a conscious decision on whether this is something that's really consistently going on across the district. And some of these things, it's not 1 or 2 schools, but just an honest look at are these things going on. First predictor category is educational environment. So this kind of includes your policies and procedures. So just having you look at your policies and procedures and ensuring that they're written in a way that's going to help to support that positive educational environment. The second is program of study. So having you look at your curriculum and making sure that you have individualized courses, individualized experiences, and individualized curriculum to support students. Another overarching predictor category is self-determination and self-advocacy, just making sure that you're doing things in your district that's providing those students with the ability to make choices, the ability to solve problems, set goals, and different things like that. Our second set of predictor categories are social skills. So just looking at the behaviors, attitudes that facilitate communication, and you'll see when I pull up the root cause analysis, what I mean and what types of questions fall under that. And the last 2 are parental involvement and student support. And again, really just having you drill down, looking at your policies, your procedures, your activities, what types of interventions and supports that you're using to make sure that you're involving parents and making sure that you're also supporting students. And we'll just take a quick look at the root cause analysis. And again, as Cheryl gets that pulled up, yeah, you're gonna have to pop into the other window.
Okay.
As she gets that pulled up, you'll see that it looks kind of lengthy, but we did create it so that it's something that you can reasonably fill out within one seating. And again, with your leadership team, you can go ahead and scroll down. And it gives you very specific directions here in terms of how to fill it out and what each number on the rating scale is. A big part of this root cause analysis is the evidence of implementation. And basically what we're looking at and what we mean by that is, whatever score you give yourself, what evidence do you have that you're rating yourself a 4? Or what evidence do you not have that you're rating yourself a 1? So some of the different evidence that you may look at, classroom expectations, classroom schedules, you may look at some FIBS, some BIFs. You definitely want to be looking at your curricula, different programs of study, different age-appropriate assessments and different things like that. And as you look at the overarching predictor categories and questions, you'll kind of see where those evidence would go. And you can see it's just a click. You're just kind of asking yourself, looking at the school and classroom expectations are posted in the parent. It may be at school A, but not school B, C, and D. So making sure you're giving yourself the appropriate rating so that you can make sure that that's just, something that's consistent across all schools and all districts. And you can just see some of the questions there. And you're really just going through with your leadership team, just kind of rating, again, the district as a whole in terms of, are these things readily available? Are they happening? And are they consistent across the district? And you can just kind of keep scrolling through, and you can see it's just, real click options. But the goal for this is to stop and have some of those, true discussions. If I'm saying 1 and somebody else is saying 4, evidently there's a conversation that needs to be had about whether or not we're doing this. And you can see under the questions, there's maybe 1 or 2 Dropbox for you to upload your evidence of implementation. That's because 1 or 2 pieces of evidence may cover, everything that's within that overarching factor, that predictor category. So we're not asking you to go pull up all the paperwork and all the policies and procedures and upload as, all the different information you have. We're just asking you to upload the relevant information. But the biggest thing for this root cause analysis is 2 things: to get you all within your districts having these conversations about whether or not these things are going on, and also to give us database information that we can use and specifically tailor the tier 2 and tier 3 support that we're going to be providing.
Thank you, Shannon. So at this point, we're going to take any questions that you may have about anything that has been covered thus far. If you have any questions, you can put in the chat. Okay, don't see any questions right now. So if you do have some questions, please put it in the chat and we'll address it as soon as we can. So we are going to take a brain break, a 60-second brain break. You know what? Can you hear that? Can you guys hear that?
No.
Okay, let me stop. Thank you. Let me stop a second. Come on, work with me. I forgot the very important button, include computer sound. Okay, we're going to try it again. Take a quick brain break and enjoy the scenery on the beach. Wasn't that refreshing? Doing something like that during a workday could just do worlds of good for you. And for those of you who are hearing a bird, I'm actually sitting on my back porch and there's a bird who wants to join in the conversation. So we are here working alongside you because all children in our state, regardless of their disability status, deserve a high quality education that prepares them for successful professional and personal lives. And Shannon has already shared with you the resources and the steps that we took in selecting these resources. And I also wanted to share just some general information about the SCDE SEL. It was mentioned about buy-in and there's been a collaboration between general ed and special education at the State Department, which has developed this SEL web portal that is very useful to you. And I'm looking at the time frame. Shannon, do you think I have time to show these? I'm not quite sure.
Real quick.
You think so? Okay. All right, so just a quick look at what is being offered here. So this SEL, this SCDE SEL portal provides resources and information for parents, students, teachers, support professionals, and this collaborative effort is a step in that direction. We were talking about teachers understanding the importance of SEL. Here you have some curriculum supports that are available to you. We have resources for elementary, for middle, for high, for preschoolers. We have the South Carolina Pyramid Model. And down here, we also have other PBIS resources and toolkits, CASEL toolkits that are available to you. We also have things for parents. There's a video here called Social Emotional Learning 101 for parents. This is also something on our universal tiered supports listing. And in conjunction with that, we have the OSIS SEL webpage, as well as the OSIS Virtual and Hybrid SEL webpage. And I just want to go to the Virtual Hybrid page briefly, show that to you. It provides supports for you in both settings, and of course, you know, oftentimes they cross, they can be used in either setting. Here we have virtual learning implementation supports for parents and family, supporting families with PBIS at home, things like that. LEA SOP resources, PBIS in early childhood classrooms and on school campuses, discipline and other teacher resources. I also wanted to bring out this particular resource, establishing and maintaining communication. Again, when we're talking about bringing in buy-in, when you're communicating with administrators, here is an SEL talking points for superintendents. So this is a good place for you to start and just having that conversation with your superintendents and others in leadership. And so now I want to show you something that we're very excited about, and that is our OSIS Universal Supports Locator, the OSIS Tier 1 Universal Supports Resource Locator. So we're going, again, forgive me for going in and out like this, but I think this is something that you would find very, very beneficial in your search. As you can see, all of the resources that we have in at OSIS, all the Universal Tier 1 supports are here at this resource locator. So each focus area have included their resources here. You can search by focus area, you can search by subject, you can search by grade level, and you more than likely have seen this in your travelings today. So I just want to show you, if you click on the social emotional learning, then all of our resources, our universal tier 1 resources come up. If you go up here to the search window and you type in discipline, then it automatically populates. I'm sorry, I said discipline, but then I put in behavior. Then it automatically populates what you're looking for. And so just say that in your RCA, you realize that you may need to focus on cultural relevance, or that's something that you believe you can utilize to help bring down your discipline numbers, your disproportionality and discipline. So you have some resources here that you can rely on to give you information. There's a website, there's toolkits, there's a video. So there are things of that nature. Just a very, very useful tool that we're very excited about. And I know since this is not your first session, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. I just did want to show that to you so you can see where we are and what we're doing. What are your thoughts on this particular resource, this Universal Supports Resource Locator? You think this would be helpful to you? We were hoping that it would indeed be user-friendly, and you can put your answers in the chat there. When we're talking about our tiered supports, we are looking at ways to help you in any area that you may be looking at. Just suppose that you're thinking about implementing coaching or a coordinator, SEL coordinator, then there is a resource here that outlines how to do that and how you go about doing that, the Social Emotional Learning Coaching Toolkit. And then we also talk about social emotional learning, cultivating essential life skills. This is actually a video of a PBIS expert talking with someone about how to take explicit instruction and merge it into what you already have going. Because I know time management is crucial. And so they're talking about how you would take explicit instruction, merge it into your PBIS, merge it into your MTSS, and other things like that. Then we also have tier supports simply, or not simply, but go along with professional development. The IRIS modules, you find that some of your teachers are in need of developing their IEPs. So we have IRIS modules for developing high quality individualized education programs. You have a teacher perhaps who's struggling with classroom management. So there are also courses for that. So when you think about the resources, we'd like for you to think about it in terms of how can you use it and where can I start? So if you have, as we talked about before, there's discipline concerns. What would you do? What steps would you take in order to do that? And where could you start? If you started here with what we have, what do you think you would want to start with? Perhaps you may want to do some observations of your school and find out where they are, and from that point, determine how to address it. Because our supports even cover what's being done in the classroom itself. So not just a school-wide or district-wide, but classroom. And we do have resources that address district-wide implementation of SEL as well. So we wanted to give you an idea of what we have, behavior support for intensive intervention, and we actually have information for remote instruction. So any thoughts, any comments about what we could do or how you could use these resources? Okay, well, as I mentioned before, these resources are here for you. And we want to know if you think that you have the tools necessary to find quality resources through what we've shared and to build robust professional development for your district. Do you think you have what you need? If not, please let us know that. You can go to this poll, a poll everywhere. I believe Shannon has already put that link in the chat. If you would go to that link and let us know your thoughts on this, that would help us in our database, our data gathering, so we know how to support you guys. So we also want to let you know, for those of you who are currently going through SOTA, who your SEL cohort contact will be. For cohort 1, your contact is Diane Bennett. For cohort 2, it is Kristen Douglas. For cohort 3, it is Cheryl Fitz, and for cohort 4, it is Shannon Jones. And while we are not the only SEL members on the team, on the cohort team, we will be your contact for SEL. We also want you to know that you can connect with us via email with our new SEL focus group email, which is Special Education Services, SEL@ed.sc.gov. So here you can send us questions, any concerns, any feedback, support, questions about resources. If you're looking for something in particular, you're not able to locate it, let us know, reach out to us, and we can help you with that endeavor. I think there may be a couple of questions here in the chat. Shannon, are there questions in the chat?
Yep, I think me and Becky have hit all of them. Just
Okay.
a few people were wondering if we were sharing this with our Gen Ed peers.
Okay. Okay, so that means you guys are excited about it. Yes, we're excited about it too. We are. I also want to let you know who the members are on your social emotional team. We have members from all across OSIS. So there are people here from finance, data, IT, dispute resolution. So we are all working together to support you with social emotional learning. Are there any other questions before we go on, before we end? Because we really appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate all that you do, actually. And we thank you for that. And we thank you for being a part of this leadership meeting. We appreciate you guys hanging in there with virtual and face-to-face instruction. Explain the cohort groups for districts. Is there a question about the cohort groups?
So LeJamie, this is Becky. The cohort groups are how we've grouped the districts for the tiered support, the tiered levels of support. You would have gotten an email from Nicole. We've used the last 3 years worth of LEA determination data to group the districts into universal supports, targeted or intensive supports. And for this first year and maybe first 2 years, we're grouping the targeted and intensive districts together, and then have broken them into cohorts. We've assigned folks from each of the 4 focus groups to each cohort so that you have one group of people that you're dealing with, and there is a lead for each of the cohorts, so that would be your primary contact. And I will we talked about it fairly extensively in one of the weekly LEA calls. I'll find that and send it to you.
Well, and also the cohort, this is Nicole, the cohort group that you're in today is your cohort. And that was done intentionally. So even if you are in a universal support where universal support, you're still part of a cohort because you'll still need a contact at OSIS, or you still might have questions or things that you need follow up with, or just concerns or support. So definitely that is your cohort group, that is your contact group. Not necessarily that you would contact the other districts in your group, although that is something we would look for in the future, mentorship from other districts. However, right now it's just that email that they have sent is focus group specific, but the cohort specific is we have folks assigned to a specific region so that we know nobody will fall through the cracks.
Okay, thank you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to put those in the chat. It is now 1:30, and so we want to thank you again for joining us, and we're going to send you off with a little music. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.